Hey, welcome to another episode of Progressive Postmortem. This is where we look at a most recent podcast episode and kind of take a look at some things that maybe we missed. This past week was Pretty Woman. This is a little late thanks to Memorial Day and also some internet problems, but better late than never, I guess. So, Pretty Woman, what did we miss with Pretty Woman? First off, I don't think we talked up enough about the positive view of sex workers in Pretty Woman. There was no real shame, no real issues. I mean, the issues were with the young woman's drug use, Julia Roberts' roommate, and not Julia Roberts herself. And I don't know if you can really associate the drug use with sex work. I think that's what they were going for, but I don't think that's a clear, cut and dry connection there. Um, but the movie itself doesn't shame her, Julia Roberts' character. It kind of just takes sex work at face value and just her living in a bad area and doing this rougher job. I think it could have also played well if she was a fast food worker. I don't really think it was just like just sex work. But I think maybe it was implied in the '90s. I think if you're watching it now, it's kind of hard to like see that and be like, oh, poor Julia Roberts. She's a sex worker. Um, what else? Playing the white trash part up. We didn't mention that Julia Roberts' character is from Georgia. Um, but I think that was kind of like a little nod to the idea of white trash uh, coming in to Hollywood and not making it, and then also being brought up by this East Coast millionaire, whatever he is. I think that played the whole part into Gere's character manufacturing this woman that he wanted to be with. And then there was finally, this is a very quick video because there wasn't a lot to talk about. I think we covered Pretty Woman pretty well. And finally, if you look at Pretty Woman, I think Tom and I talked about this afterwards, that we thought it would be pretty interesting if the movie had gone in a different direction, as not having Gere as a savior, but maybe being a entry point into Julia Roberts' character, moving up in her career, in her work, going from Hollywood Boulevard into Beverly Hills. And so she's no longer, considered a prostitute, but then she's considered a call girl or an escort. So something higher end. And, sex wouldn't necessarily be off the table, I guess, but it wouldn't be the prime thing. It would be something else. I don't even know if that's the case or not. I don't know the ins and outs of the difference between call girl and an escort versus, who Julia Roberts was on Broadway versus Beverly Hills. So let's just say she just moves up, but that would increase her pay scale. That would increase her visibility, and I think also her access to, um, lawyers and police. Not as much as other people, but more people, and I think that would also increase her access to better housing, better medical care, all this stuff. And the reason it would be more access to that was because she would have more money, and more money grants you more access because people tend not to think too hard about the whys of somebody having money or care that much. So they have this idea of like, oh, she's a sex worker, she doesn't deserve this. But if she's a sex worker with money, then it's like, oh, okay, well, she has the money to pay for this, but she's also a sex worker. Who cares? One of those ridiculous things. But yeah, that's it. That was quick. That was 5 minutes. Pretty Woman. That was an interesting one, but I think we covered it pretty well. Um, so yeah, hopefully there's. I don't know if there's. Let me know in the comments if there's any movies that are more positive for sex workers, or whether they're mainstream Hollywood or if they're independent. I'd be interested in seeing those. I'm not super aware off the top of my head what those would be. All right, thanks.